Hey guys, Manic Mercurian here, and in this video we've got another birth chart reading, and I am enjoying these. I'm liking all these requests I've been getting for birth chart readings, and I'm still doing these for free slash for donation. I can accept payment through PayPal or Facebook Messenger, but I can also do them for free. So definitely, if you are interested in having your chart read, leave a comment below on one of my videos, or you can email me at manic.mercurian@gmail.com. I just need your birth date, time, and place, and then I can talk all about your birth chart. I can also do other readings as well if you're interested in anything else. Just let me know. Okay, but this chart is for July 31st, 1990 at 7:43 a.m. in Owosso, Michigan. And this person has Leo Sun, Scorpio Moon, and Leo Rising. And I know this person messaged me and said that they've already seen my Leo Sun Scorpio Moon video and that resonated with them. So I will spare you from, I don't want to be redundant, so I'm not going to talk all about the same things I did in that video. But just in general, a quick recap. One of the main themes I highlighted was that with your luminaries, you have Sun in domicile and Moon in detriment. That makes you loved and revered and accepted and understood, but also despised and misunderstood at the same time. And it's actually not as contradictory as it sounds. You might be loved for how weird and different you are than the norm. You might also be hated for that. You're definitely an individual. With both Sun and Moon in fixed signs, you're very strong-willed. You are who you are, and you don't really change that for people. And so there's something very resilient about that in a way that is very tangible for other people. I see pride as being very strong in your chart because with all the Leo and the Scorpio, pride and power are strong themes here. And your Leo rising as well. So the sun is very strong in your chart because the sun is not only in domicile, it's also the chart ruler. So you have that energy of the sun. I would think that you are maybe very attractive. Like you almost have like an attractive radiance about you because with the sun's energy, it's almost like you're on fire or like you're lit up. Like other people just see you in a very obvious way. However, there's something very different in your chart as well. So you have Sun in the 12th house, which is very interesting. So even though the sun is so prominent, it's in domicile, it's the chart ruler, so it's very strong. It's also in the 12th house, so it's actually obscured. And so I don't think you would relate so much to a lot of typical Leo descriptions because the way like pride and ego are very important in your life. They're very strong themes. But it's in a different way than it would be for the typical Leo. A typical Leo will just, be shining and be very generous and be very outgoing. And you definitely can be those things, but there's something about you that's very hidden and obscure, not just because of your Scorpio moon, which is actually in the fourth house, makes it actually that much more obscure, but or hidden. But also the sun in 12th house is hidden as well. So and it's funny because I just did the last two readings. This chart reminds me of the last two charts I read because there's actually a lot of similarities. But when we have placements in the 12th house, whatever is there, we feel like we are not allowed to express it when we're growing up. Like it's just frowned upon. So you may have been like cheerful and had that energetic, the typical Leo energy, but you felt like you couldn't express it. You felt like you weren't allowed to. Like it, I don't know, like you just didn't have any room for self-expression. Like you just weren't even allowed to be a person at times. It's really challenging because a lot of your personality is sort of weighed down and it's very subconscious. The 12th house is subconscious. So you're not even probably aware of this at a young age. You weren't even aware of your ego or your identity because it was just something that was off the radar, which is so funny because again, it's such a prominent, important part of your chart, but it's something that takes time to develop in your life specifically. Um, let's see. So yeah, so it's something that's pushed down. You also, okay, I just noticed you have South Node conjunct the Sun. So this would completely change. I actually have a similar placement, so I kind of know how this goes. This would completely change right around age 18. I would say age 18 going into 19, you would become much more self aware. And it would actually be maybe traumatic or very difficult. But at the same time, it would be very good because you would learn to embrace that Leo side of your personality much more after the age of like 18 or 19. You would learn to be more self-expressive and more proud of who you are, more outgoing, even more friendly or cheerful or vibrant. All these Leo archetypes and traits would become much stronger around the age of 18 or 19. And that's because at that age we experience our first nodal, let me think, nodal return. And so that would activate your nodal axis. And because your sun is sitting right on your south node, that would activate that as well. So you might actually experience an overabundance of Leo energy. So that Leo energy is kind of deprived from you in your childhood, but then the pendulum swings hard and you become very outgoing, very fiery, very reckless, even when you're around 18, 19 years old. And that will be, of course, stabilize as you get a little bit older and just continue to develop and mature. I see you very much as wanting to evolve and grow, not only because of your Scorpio moon, you're always adapting and evolving and changing, but you also have, the sun conjunct the south node would also mean that you have a lot of challenges related to your sun. So you may have had a past life where you abused some Leo archetypes. So maybe you were too proud, you were too vain, you had too much power that you weren't responsible with, or you were reckless with. Maybe you're just reckless in general. And so in this life, one of your main tasks is to heal those kind of traumas in your soul. And so you do have a lot of challenges involving this Leo sun, which is such an interesting placement because again, it's so strong. It's in domicile and it's the chart ruler, but at the same time, it's in the 12th house and it's conjunct the south node. So it's a very challenging area for you. And it's something that will take time for you to develop. And as you mature, you will naturally step into more of that Leo role of being the friendly, optimistic, cheerful one. But because you have Sun in 12th house and Moon in 4th house, I see you as being introverted, and I see you as being very empathetic and understanding of other people, more so than the typical Leo. Like that's where I'm saying you aren't just a typical Leo. If you just read a description of Leo's sun, I just don't think it would be partially correct, but there's a much different twist here. You're more empathetic and understanding of others, because 12th house placements, like having 20 sun in your 12th house, it does make it challenging at a young age and makes those traits repressed, but it also makes you more intuitive and more open to things that are weird or obscure. So, and also with Scorpio moon, you like things that are kind of intense or different or edgy. Um, and so people with 12th house placements, it makes you usually very kind, although some people say serial killers can have sun or moon in 12th house. That hasn't been my experience. I see you as being very kind, and it's actually hard for you to have boundaries. You might over empathize with other people, and you might feel victimized at a young age, or I don't like the word victimized, but I mean, the 12th house is very difficult. It's almost like I don't know, there was like this void there where your ego and your pride should be. There's this void there at a young age, and it's something that takes time to grow stronger in that area. Okay, and then I just want to make sure I'm finishing everything here. I have a lot of thoughts. Okay, but yeah, I was just saying it would also make you more open to different kinds of people. You'd be very empathetic and understanding of people of all walks of life, but you'd also be open to obscure concepts like astrology, for instance. Okay, and then another reason why you wouldn't necessarily relate to Leo is because yes, you do have. I'm gonna keep saying this. Yes, yes, you do have Sun in domicile, and it's the chart ruler, so that's very strong placement. But you have no other planets in Leo, which is unusual because usually we have Mercury in the same sign as our Sun, but you actually have Mercury in Virgo in the first house. I actually like this though because Sun is in domicile in Leo, Mercury is in domicile and exalted in Virgo, and so that would make you very attentive to detail. It would make you analytical. And again, these are traits that are somewhat uncommon for Leos. You'd be more intellectual than the typical Leo. You would be, um, I don't know, a good student. You'd be sort of book smart, if you will. Let's see. And I don't know, it'd make you more expressive or more articulate. Like you could be a good writer because of this. Mercury in first house could also make you somewhat slim. It could also make you tan to some extent. Let's see what else here. Mercury could also make you busy. Like your whole life, you may be busy. It may be a busy life where you're just, I don't know, doing lots of little things, making many connections throughout your life. You do have Sun in 12th house and Moon in 4th house, so that would be more introverted or secluded. A little bit more of a misunderstood character who is um, not a social butterfly per se. But having Mercury in first house does mean that you would still be making a lot of different connections throughout your life, different friendships, acquaintances, and they would be people of all walks of life since you have Sun in 12th house. Okay, and then yeah, this just so reminds me of the last chart I read because you both have Venus in Cancer, you both have Moon in Scorpio and Lilith in Scorpio. Um, let's see, but okay, so yeah, there's a very intense part of your chart right at the bottom by the IC. You've got Pluto, Lilith, and Moon all in Scorpio, and you actually have Pluto conjunct the IC, and it's almost exactly opposite Mars conjunct your midheaven in Taurus. So when we get these like oppositions like this between Pluto and Mars, it's not exact; it's off by 2 degrees, but um, it's still significant. And I think that when this gets triggered, there could be a potential for a violent um, event in your life, and this could happen multiple times throughout your life. Maybe I don't know. I don't want to guess, but at least a couple times, maybe several throughout your life. But you may have like something very violent, very traumatic happen because of this. It's very heavy. With Mars, you know, can cause accidents to happen, and Pluto just kind of intensifies things. So there is that potential for I don't know, maybe a violent character in your life or some kind of traumatic accident, violent accident. Um, I don't know. And then also Leo and Scorpio are sort of conducive to like fighting, and so I don't know. There, I do see you as like maybe getting physically hurt in your life. But let's see. I know that's kind of general, but you do also have Lilith and Scorpio. I see you as being very sexual. You do have Mars in detriment, so that would temper things a little bit. But Leo is a very sexual sign, and Scorpio is a very sexual sign. And having Pluto, Lilith, and Moon all in Scorpio would make you very sexual. It's because these are very creative energies. Scorpio and Leo want to create. They want to express themselves, and creation is really just a matter of self-expression. So, because when you create a work of art or a service that's part of your job, or if you create like a child, these are all things that you've created and they have their own energy, but it's something that came from you. And so, like, yes, it is distinct from you, it's its own body, but it is an expression of you. And so, this is a strong theme in your life. It does relate to you being sexual as well, maybe having a strong sex drive or wanting to be really intensely sexual at times in your life. But this also just relates to you being creative in general. I don't know. And with that Mercury and Virgo, again, I almost think you'd be really good at like writing, or with the attention to detail, you could just be good at, I don't know, something creative in general, some kind of art. Um, let's see here. But, okay, what else? Moon and Scorpio. Moon and detriment sometimes means that your childhood is very difficult, and that you feel out of control emotionally at a young age. You feel like your own circumstances are out of your control, and things are just very extreme and they change a lot. And it's almost like you're in this, it's like in mid fall when things are decaying and there's this energy of like that detriment. And it makes us wake up and it makes us work harder. So you kind of have that energy to you. Not everyone with Scorpio moon has a difficult childhood, not as much as like moon in Capricorn, for instance, but that potential is there, especially with Pluto conjunct the IC. I see your childhood as being very intense. You also have IC in Scorpio. Um, I think, let's see, I think your mother would be a very strong presence in your life because you do have moon in the fourth house. Moon is, I mean, that's almost one of the best places for the moon to be because the moon likes to be kind of private and secluded. And when you were born, the moon wasn't visible at all. It was as far away from the top of the sky as possible, pretty much. So that's actually a nice place to have it in a sort of private, secluded place. It is in detriment, but still. So yeah, I think your mother was a strong influence in your life growing up. And your moon is at the very end of Scorpio. It's at the second to last degree at 28 degrees Scorpio. So that is very intense. This life is going to be very karmic for you. You're going to have multiple huge upheavals throughout your life, and you're going to learn a lot in this life because I don't know, it's just it's very karmic. There's a lot of things that you're going to cover, especially with Sun in the 12th house and Moon at the end of Scorpio. Okay, and then I really do enjoy, one of the first things I looked at this chart was Mars conjunct midheaven, and I really do enjoy that. I enjoy it because it is in detriment technically, but really Mars in Taurus is not the weakest sign for it to be in because Taurus is firm, it's grounded, it's fixed. And so your ambition and your, the sort of masculine energy in your chart, the way you assert yourself and the way you're ambitious, it will definitely not be very initiating. So I definitely don't see you as like picking fights with people with your Sun in 12th house and then your Mars in detriment. This would be more of like a defensive position. So it may actually be hard to defend yourself at a young age. You do have Moon in Scorpio though as well. So I mean, you do have those reflexes. You have a lot of instincts in your aura or in your psyche. But Mars in Taurus might be a little bit what's the word? Like not very motivated, or it can be a little bit stagnant. But I mean, generally it's still, it's not the worst placement. I mean, it's just Mars and Taurus, it just wants to take time to do things. So it's not necessarily that you're unmotivated, it's just that you do things on your own time, sort of, if that makes sense. So it just takes you take your time with certain things, and that can be good. It's better to be, steady, like slow and steady wins the race, kind of. That's Mars and Taurus, I guess. So you're doing things at your own pace, but it's a very steady, very strong way that you accomplish things. Yeah, so that could be good. I mean, Mars being in a fixed Earth sign is very productive, really. I mean, I almost don't even think it should be in detriment. It's a pretty strong placement. And having that conjunct to your midheaven, that's the energy you bring to the public, to your career. And so, I don't know. I think midheaven in Taurus is really beautiful because you're seen as someone who is steady and reliable. You're easy to understand for people. Steady, reliable. I mean, that's kind of the gist of it, really. But Mars there, you have this. Mars conjunct midheaven would almost make you like sexy or like cool looking. Um, or let's see what else. I don't know. It could also make. It's tricky because it's in detriment, but you might fight for something that is unpopular or uncommon. Like the things you fight for or the way you fight for things is unusual. It's not the norm. It's unexpected. So you might fight for something that's kind of counterculture. But then, I don't know, but then with having it with in Taurus makes it very easy for people to understand those. So it's kind of, I don't know, you're fighting for something that's counterculture and you have this reputation that might be, I don't know, different or uncommon, but at the same time, it's very natural for people to understand, if that makes sense. So really, I don't even want to speculate on what kind of job you could have because I think with Mars conjunct midheaven and Taurus, you could almost apply that to anything. I mean, Taurus in itself is steady and hardworking, so it could do some of the more like hard labor jobs or the more physical jobs. But it's also easy for people to understand, and it's sociable and kind of light and easygoing, and so it could also be good at the hospitality sectors. I mean, so yeah, I mean, really, there's a lot of things you could do. And with Mars conjunct Midheaven, I do see that as making you kind of independent or individualistic in your career and your public image. So you might want to do something on your own or have some kind of job that allows you a degree of autonomy, especially with all these fixed placements. I mean, I guess Sun and Moon in particular, you do kind of want things your own way. You are a little bit stubborn. And again, that's not a bad thing at all. It's good to be consistent. That's what makes you so easy for people to understand to some extent. I mean, you are okay. I should watch what I say. You are kind of misunderstood, but at the same time, you're very consistent. And so I don't know. I think people can be kind of. I think people might take you the wrong way at first, but once they just give you a little bit of time and just I think part of what it is that you're very open to the world, and I don't think everyone else is as open as you are, and so other people might be thinking that you're playing the same games that they are, when really you're not actually playing any games. You're to me you seem actually very I don't want to say simple, like straightforward and consistent. Like you are who you are, and that's it. And somehow other people kind of misunderstand that because they're not as open as you are. You're very open to just like when you're with someone, you just let them be whoever they are. And some people, not everyone, but some people will appreciate that in you. They'll probably say to you like, "Wow, I feel like I can just be myself with you," and that's because you're very open. But that's what you do as well. You're just yourself. You're consistent. You know how to do that. So anyway, I'm getting off track here, but let's see. So I am talking about Mars. So let's see, Mars and Taurus. Let's kind of talk about relationships here a little bit. So you have Venus in Cancer, Mars in Taurus. And so your approach in relationships is, I said this for the last person too with Venus in Cancer, but Venus in Cancer is clingy. And again, I'm not trying to say that in a judgmental way, but you want to be very close with someone that you're involved with. You want that emotional, that sentimental connection, and it's very um, Cancer has to do with either the mother or the child. And so in a relationship, you can take on one of two roles. You can either be sort of a very nurturing, almost like mothering influence, very nurturing, very caring for someone else. That might sound typical of a relationship, but really it's not. Like you are very caring, very nurturing, like especially nurturing and soft for that person. But you could also take on the role of the child and want to be cared for and be kind of codependent on someone else. And you can actually have those two at the same time. So you can be sort of codependent and reliant on someone else, wanting that nurturing and that attention, but you might also be very capable of giving it as well. Um, and so I would just say to be careful with that because Venus in Cancer being kind of codependent, um, it can actually, it's a very sweet placement. Like like I love people with Venus in Cancer, but it's something that can be difficult because you can end up either being taken advantage of, or you can end up um, accidentally or unintentionally taking advantage of someone else, and it's because of that codependency. So I think I like that you have a lot of fixed energy in your chart because having those boundaries will help with having Venus in Cancer. Kind of knowing the limits of yourself and respecting those in other people, that will help because it's okay to be nurturing and to be really sentimental and close. Like of course those are great things and that can be really good in a relationship, but it's sort of the codependency that gets kind of tricky. So keeping your fixed energy and being maybe a little bit stubborn at times, or just knowing the limits or knowing the boundaries can help with that. But in general, you have Venus in 11th house Cancer, which I think the last person I did, I think he did too, or someone did. Anyway, there's a lot of similarities here. But so let's see. Okay, so let's see, and you also have Jupiter exalted in Cancer, which is pretty cool. Okay, I'm going on a little tangent here, but I'm noticing now you have a lot of planets either in detriment or exalted, or um, like this chart would have been great for my domicile or rulership series because you have Mercury exalted and in domicile, you have Sun in domicile, you have Jupiter exalted, uh, you have Pluto and Saturn both in domicile, and then you have Moon and Mars in detriment. So that's very interesting. So that I think you would especially relate to that whole bit that I did about being despised but also revered, because you have so many placements that are so lucky and so easy and so readily understood by everyone else and so accepted. But you also have a lot of placements like Moon, Mars, and then also having Sun in 12th house that would make you, misunderstood or different than the norm, not what's expected, maybe not so much liked by others. You're just not understood really. So that is interesting that you have so many placements like that. But okay, but what I was saying is Venus in the 11th house. The 11th house is also, it's a little bit like 10th house, where it's kind of like your public relations to some extent. 11th house also has to do with some other things like your aspirations, but having Venus there is very beautiful. So you are, it's this funny mix in your chart that I swear the last person had too, but it's this mix of you being misunderstood, but there's something special about you that people notice right away. That, like, I don't know, it's almost magical. It's almost like you're not even really doing anything, and yet people can be so moved by you, for better or for worse. They think that you're so beautiful or so terrible, but really, like, you haven't even really done anything. It's just your vibe or your attitude or your mannerisms or your appearance. Something about your energy people connect with, and I don't always mean connect like in a good way. Like, you bring out strong opinions of people, or strong emotions. People either connect with you and feel really comfortable with you and feel like they can be vulnerable with you, or they just like strongly don't like you. And I think there's something, I find value in that. I think that there's something valuable there that you can use. I'm almost not even sure what exactly for, but like I think there's power in that. There's power in being able to be noticed like that, and to I don't know, to move people, even if it's not always in a positive way. Just that you have an effect on people, I think is very powerful. I think you can use that for something. I don't know. Maybe just think about that because I don't know. Hopefully, I've planted a seed, and then I think you're meant to expand on that. I feel like you might know what that means more than I do, so I'm just gonna leave that at that. But yeah, I really love Jupiter and Venus in Cancer like this. Jupiter is in the 12th house, but yeah, having Jupiter exalted is a really strong placement. I mean, because Jupiter is, the planet of luck and fortune and expansion, and having it exalted, having it, very strong in a overt way in a chart, it means that you're very capable of that soul growth, soul expansion, and that you do have a certain luck. I think you might have one of those charts with all this fire and water and these detriment and domicile placements and Jupiter and exalted. You might seem to have a lot of like luck, like a lot of good luck or bad luck, like you're just in the right place at the right time. This like crazy stuff happens to you that other people might not necessarily experience, such wild like happenings or these events that happen to you just by chance. So you might have very good luck, very bad luck, and I think it's almost part of having those strong reactions from people as well. It's almost like it's funny because you yourself, like, yeah, you can have extremes. You have Sun and Leo, Moon and Scorpio, but having those in 12th and 4th house, you're kind of a, I see you as being very easygoing, and so it's funny that you conjure up such strong reactions from people. Like, I see you as being introverted, I really do, but it's funny that you're so noticed. You're so, I don't know, you have such a strong energy about you, or I don't know, a strong reaction from other people. Let's see. Okay, and then I didn't really talk so much. I just, with the relationships, the descendant is very important, and I haven't talked about that yet. So you are Leo rising. I think you would maybe initiate to some extent. You are kind of introverted or um, internal, and you think a lot, but I think you can kind of take the lead with people that you're romantically interested in. Like, you are Leo rising after all, so you are a leader, and you would be attracted to people who are more detached than yourself. You in general, you're mostly fiery and watery. Actually, you only have one fire planet, and that's the sun. So let me see here. So I mean, you have more planets in water than anything else, and you have no air planets at all. That's interesting. Okay, so your chart is actually very yin dominant as well, very earthy and very watery, which would also suggest that you're more internal, introverted. These are the heavier elements. So you take time before you act. You think before you act. And again, this is very unusual for a Leo. Yeah, I can't believe I just noticed this. You're an unusual Leo. Because you have no other planets in fire or air other than your Leo sun. So that's just interesting. But so you're drawn towards someone who is much lighter than yourself. Having so much earth and water, and then only your Leo sun in fire. Um, you can think very serious. You can be a little bit overly serious at times. Like you can feel like everything is so serious and heavy, and so you'd be attracted to someone who's more just quirky and I don't want to say upbeat, but more detached, more just like aloof, or someone who is unique for sure with the descendant in Aquarius. So someone who thinks for themselves, but also who's more light and more um, spontaneous. Someone who's more spontaneous than yourself, who is more. I'm struggling to find the words. Like you lack air, and so that makes you drawn to air placements. So someone with Aquarius placements, Aquarius Sun maybe, or with placements in Gemini or Libra. But you also have descendant in Aquarius, so that makes you extra drawn to air and to Aquarius in particular. So you want someone, I don't know, provocative and different and obscure, but someone lighter than yourself, because it would help with kind of feeling that things are so serious. Someone who doesn't take things so seriously. Someone who's just kind of playful and almost like childlike. Just who just kind of like does whatever and doesn't think so much about it, doesn't take things seriously. Someone who doesn't so much play by the rules. Someone who has just like a jovial or whimsical approach to life, if you will. Someone maybe kind of intelligent with Aquarius descendant. Someone, I don't know, Aquarius can go multiple different ways, because Aquarius could be very rebellious and provocative, but it could also be very kind of tame and mild and just detached. And so, I don't know, somehow if you could combine that in one person, definitely someone unique though, someone different from everyone else. Uh, let's see, maybe even someone slightly androgynous, just because Aquarius can be kind of androgynous a little bit. Let's see, and then Aquarius with descendant in Aquarius, it would also make you. How do I put this? So people don't realize that Aquarius can actually be very conventional, but it can be unconventionally conventional in an unconventional way. So like for instance, in this age where we're all getting this new technology all the time, and that's supposed to be just the normal way of things. It can actually be very unconventional to be conventional. It could be quirky or eccentric to be more old fashioned, and so you might almost want um like a classic love story in a way, like just a like boy meets girl. I don't know, something almost simple like that, but some with someone who is very unique though and different than everyone else and quirky. Hopefully that makes sense to you. And then you also have North Node in Aquarius and South Node in Leo. So having South Node, let me think here. South Node, typically you would start out. Okay, this is tricky, but it's actually something similar to what I have. So I'm trying to think here. So you are naturally good at initiating, being fiery, being a leader, but at the same time, it's something that's blocked from you. I think it's something that you can do, but it's something that almost doesn't feel real to you, especially at a young age, early in life. So you do have like the Leo energy is very familiar to you, even though it's hard to describe because it's familiar to you. It's something you've done in a past life, but at the same time, it's something that's kind of blocked from you until you're about 18. But I think as you mature and grow, get a little bit older, you will go more and more into your North Node in Aquarius. And so you'll learn to be, this is kind of what I was talking about before, I guess. So you'll learn to be more kind of just spontaneous and carefree, not take things so seriously. Also, think in a more holistic way. So don't feel so serious and just thinking about yourself or your immediate circumstances, but also just think in more of a holistic or a big picture, like bird's eye type of way. Doing so will actually make things less serious for you because if you kind of, I mean, you have all this focus on pride and the ego, which can be good. It can be good to have that pride and to exert that and to flaunt that, even your own ego, your own individuality. It can be rich to have all that fiery and watery energy that you, I don't know, I see you as almost being like a very like sexually attractive person, or like maybe that's what people react so strongly to with you because you, I don't know, you're very like vibrant. But it can also be a lot of pressure to have so much focus on your individuality. Like it can be very good, and I'm almost a little bit jealous of that. But at the same time, it can be very difficult, and it can make you think, feel like things are more serious than they are. And so you can keep that individuality. That's what, when we go into the North Node, it's not about running away from your South Node in 12th house Leo. You can still keep that. You like to be kind of behind the scenes, maybe leading or being generous, but in a sort of behind the scenes way. So you can keep that, you can still have that, but also learn to be more in the world in a physical way, but in a way where you're not thinking so much about yourself. So I think North Node in 6th house Aquarius is more logical, more detached. It's not focused on itself. So, and I'm not saying you're selfish because I don't think you are. I just think there's a lot of focus on yourself, if that makes sense. And your immediate surroundings, like the subjective is almost tense. Like there's a lot of focus there. And so if you learn to kind of just branch out and almost relax, like just like relax the focus and let it absorb into the more outer concepts, like I don't know, like learning about more abstract concepts would be beneficial for this, or I don't know, just focusing on maybe focusing on the far future rather than the immediate now, or I don't know, focusing on like I don't see you as being interested in, actually I don't want to say that for sure, but like learning kind of abstract concepts, like even astrology could be kind of good for this if you, but you have to bring it into the real world somehow with North Node in 6th house. You part of your journey is learning to be more present in the real world, like in a physical way, but also learning to take yourself out of the picture. This is so contradictory, but not take yourself out of the picture. You can still be there, but to learn to incorporate more abstract concepts that don't include your immediate circumstances, like I don't know, like history or something, or astrology is kind of good for this, or or like uh, or like long-term goals maybe. I don't know. Hopefully that makes sense to you. I know that was kind of rambly. But then you also have Saturn in Capricorn and it's retrograde. Your chart is a little bit like mine because, okay, so you have Saturn retrograde and Uranus retrograde. So you would be sort of the last one to adopt new trends or new technologies or new fads. But at the same time, you also kind of rebel from more like conservative disciplines or traditions. You would you would rebel from traditions, but you would also be skeptical of new fads at the same time. So you have this kind of weird mix where I don't know, you want to do things in your own way. That's definitely for sure. You're definitely an individual. You want to do things in your own way, so you don't want to jump onto a trend that everyone else has just started doing, but you also don't want to be confined to tradition. You want to just do things in your own way. Yeah, that's where, I don't know, I feel like there's like this simplicity about your chart that's actually really refreshing. Like it's so contradictory, but at the same time, it's almost kind of simple. Let's see what else here. Saturn. I mean, Saturn is in domicile, which would indicate that your father was very much a part of your life, and that you did experience that sort of paternalistic sense of authority and discipline in your life growing up. But you also have Saturn retrograde, which would indicate your father not being there so much, and so there's, I don't. Hopefully that makes sense. Like, you did experience that, but it also kind of was absent at the same time. There was some kind of mix there. It's not clear cut. So I don't know. Maybe you did experience that for a large part of your upbringing, but then it was also absent from another. Or I don't know. Maybe you did have a good dad, but he was like working a lot or something. Or I'm not sure exactly how to read that, but hopefully that makes sense to you. Okay, I think I've rambled on about this enough. Hopefully, what I've said makes sense. I really would like if you, I mean, even more than a donation, I really appreciate you like letting me know what resonates and what doesn't, because I'm always, wanting to improve, and I want to know how I did. But yeah, let me know what resonated for you and what didn't. Um, see, let me just make sure I covered everything. Okay, so Lilith in Scorpio, let me just talk about that for a moment and then I'll wrap this up here. Okay, you have this kind of wild side to you, and it gets triggered with highly stressful situations. That's interesting. That's like my chart too, in a way. Okay, so I think the way you react to like crisis or confrontational situations is, I don't know, you can be very instinctive, but you can also take your time at the same time. You can be very instinctual and react immediately with your all these Scorpio energies, but you also have Mars and Taurus, so you can also take your time. Hopefully, you can learn to use either of those whenever you want. Like, they're different tools in a tool bag. 'Cause that would be really cool. I'm not sure if you have that level of control over it, but that would almost be perfect. But with Lilith and Scorpio, you have this side of your personality that is very like sexual and wild. I think you have some escapist tendencies, especially early on. But yeah, actually, definitely. Um, but I do like that you have Mercury in Virgo and Mars in Taurus. I think they're very grounding placements. I mean, you're definitely intelligent, analytical, um, and I think the main I don't want to say challenge. It's a challenge, but also an opportunity. There's like not a word. There's not an adequate word that I can think of to sum that up. But the task that you have at hand in this life and the opportunity is to is to continue to assert that individuality, or that flair that you have, and that I think there's something really important about how people react to you. They see something that maybe you don't about yourself, and it's all true: the good, the bad, the ugly. Even as confused as people might be and as mistaken they might be about you, I think there's a grain of truth, a kernel of truth in all of it. And I don't know, there's something powerful there that you can, if you can harness that, you could do something with that. I don't know what exactly. But yeah, just in general, I see you as being very creative, very passionate, intellectual, articulate. I see you as the same thing, seeing things as a little bit too serious sometimes. Like, you can get kind of bogged down, but that's where you can learn to be more detached and attract. Have some have some friends or a relationship with an air sign. That would kind of help you to lighten things up a little bit. I hope you have an air friend in your life. Anyway, hopefully that resonated with you. But I really appreciate you watching. Appreciate the request, and thanks for watching. I'll see you later.